July 24th, 1939, Warsaw, Poland. The air inside the Bureau Szyfrów, the Polish cipher bureau, is heavy with heat and cigarette smoke. Outside, thunder rumbles over the city. Inside, 3 men lean over a black machine covered in wires, rotors, and brass switches. At the center stands Marian Rejewski, a quiet, bespectacled mathematician barely 34 years old. His hands tremble slightly as he adjusts a dial on the device. The room is silent except for the ticking of the machine's rotors. Then, click, a bulb flashes. One of the assistants exhales in disbelief. Rejewski smiles faintly. "There," he says in Polish. She speaks. What has just happened in that cramped Warsaw basement will soon become one of the most consequential breakthroughs in modern warfare. Rejewski has done the impossible. He has solved the German enigma, the encryption machine thought unbreakable. For years, the German military had relied on Enigma to encode every radio transmission, from U-boat orders to Luftwaffe flight plans. Its system of rotating wheels and electrical circuits produced over 158 million possible combinations. Every morning at midnight, the Germans changed the settings. Even if an enemy captured a message, it was useless within hours. But Rejewski didn't attack Enigma like a linguist. He attacked it like a mathematician, working from only a handful of intercepted messages and one smuggled German Enigma manual. He and 2 colleagues, Jerzy Rożycki and Henryk Zagalski, built a set of mathematical equations describing the rotor positions. After months of sleepless nights and chalk-covered blackboards, they cracked the wiring pattern of the machine. Still, there was one problem: time. Even knowing the method, recalculating Enigma's daily key by hand could take weeks. The Germans changed it every 24 hours, so Rejewski built a machine. It looked unremarkable: 6 connected drums whirring on a metal frame. But when powered, it could cycle through hundreds of combinations per minute. He called it the Bombe Kryptologiczna, the cryptologic bomb. When the prototype finished its first run, printing out a decoded German message, one of the assistants whispered, "We can read them now. All of them." Rejewski simply nodded. "Then we must do it quickly. They're coming." Because in the summer of 1939, Poland's cryptographers could already hear the war approaching. Weeks later, on August 25th, the Cipher Bureau hosted a meeting in a villa outside Warsaw. British and French intelligence officers arrived quietly, led by Commander Alistair Denniston from Britain's Government Code and Cipher School. Rejewski presented his findings calmly, sliding open a wooden crate. Inside sat 3 working copies of the German Enigma machine, handmade in Poland. The room fell silent. The British delegate leaned forward. "You've built it?" Rejewski nodded. "And broken it?" For a moment, no one spoke. Then Denniston whispered, "Good God, this changes everything." The Poles handed over their research, thousands of pages of ciphers, equations, and diagrams. They didn't know it yet, but they were giving the Allies the most powerful weapon of the war: information. 2 weeks later, on September 1st, 1939, German tanks crossed the Polish border. The Cipher Bureau was evacuated. Rejewski destroyed his files and fled west with his team. Behind him, Warsaw burned. Ahead lay exile, danger, and obscurity. But his work, his code, his machine, was already on its way to Britain. September 1939. Poland in flames. Smoke hangs over the countryside like a funeral shroud. Roads are choked with refugees and retreating soldiers. German dive bombers, Stukas, shriek overhead, their sirens screaming as they drop bombs on fleeing convoys. Amid the chaos, a small group of men in plain clothes move west, carrying nothing but satchels and a single locked wooden crate. Inside that crate lies the most valuable object in Europe: the blueprint of the Enigma decryption method, written in Marian Rejewski's precise handwriting. Rejewski rides in the back of a truck with his 2 colleagues, Jerzy Rożycki and Henryk Zagalski. His glasses are cracked, his jacket torn, but he refuses to rest. Each night, under candlelight, He rechecks the notes. If they capture this, he says quietly, they will win not only Poland, but the world. By mid-September, Warsaw is under siege. The men reach the Romanian border disguised as railway workers. At the crossing, a German patrol inspects the truck. One soldier taps the crate with his rifle. "What's in here?" he asks in German. Rejewski meets his gaze evenly. "Tools, nothing more." The soldier shrugs. "Go." The truck rumbles forward into Romania, neutral territory. From there, with help from the French intelligence network, they make their way through Bucharest, Belgrade, and Paris, finally arriving at PC Bruno, a secret code-breaking station near the Château de Vignoles outside Paris. There, French cryptologist Gustave Bertrand greets them like heroes. "You're alive!" he exclaims. Rejewski shakes his hand, exhausted. The work must continue, and it does. Within days, the Polish team sets up their machines again, decoding Luftwaffe transmissions as if nothing has changed. They send intercepts to Britain, marked urgent, from Warsaw Method. But as 1940 begins, the Nazi war machine moves faster than anyone imagined. France collapses. German troops sweep through Paris. Once again, Rejewski and his colleagues must flee. This time, they move by train through southern France, dodging checkpoints and air raids. Near Perpignan, they slip across the border into Spain under the cover of night. Captured briefly by Spanish police and imprisoned in Girona, they spend days in filthy cells, not knowing if they will be sent back to the Gestapo. When a guard asks Rejewski what crime he's committed, he answers simply, "I broke the wrong machine." After weeks of negotiations, the Polish government in exile secures their release. They are smuggled to Gibraltar, and from there, flown to Britain aboard an RAF transport plane. It is August 1940, and the Battle of Britain is raging in the skies. From the window, Rejewski watches dogfights erupt over the channel, hurricanes twisting through clouds, tracers streaking across the dawn. He whispers to himself, "All this, and still, it's the numbers that decide." In Britain, Rejewski and his team are taken to a quiet estate in Buckinghamshire, Bletchley Park. The grounds are filled with men and women in uniforms and lab coats, their rooms stacked with cables, punch tape, and radio intercepts. An officer escorts them to a laboratory humming with machines. There, standing beside a massive electromechanical contraption of spinning rotors, is Alan Turing, the young British mathematician already at work, refining the Polish bomber. Turing turns as the Poles enter. "You're Rejewski?" The older man nods. Turing smiles faintly. "Then I believe I owe you quite a lot." Rejewski looks at the towering machine. It whirs, lights flickering as it cycles through thousands of possibilities. "You've built her again," he says softly. "But faster." Turing gestures to the rotating drums. "We call it the bomb now. Your idea made it possible." From that day on, the secret war of mathematics becomes the Allies' most powerful weapon. Every intercepted signal, every coded order, every U-boat transmission now has a chance to be understood, because one Polish engineer refused to give up his equations. Still, Rejewski knows his country remains under occupation. His family's fate is unknown. Late at night, as Turing and his colleagues celebrate small victories, he writes in his diary, "We cannot fight with rifles anymore, but perhaps numbers will do." Outside, bombers roar overhead on their way to London. Inside, the machines keep turning, cold, tireless, precise. And with every click, another secret of the Reich dies. September 1940, Bletchley Park, England. Rain taps steadily on the glass skylights of Hut 6. Inside, the air hums with electricity and tension. Rows of typewriters clatter, teleprinters buzz, and the faint mechanical groan of rotating drums fills the corridors. This is no laboratory now. It is a battlefield. Marian Rejewski sits at a corner table, hunched over a fresh German intercept. He traces the letters by hand, muttering the alphabet like a prayer. Across the room, Alan Turing leans over the new British bomb. its massive rotors spinning like a heartbeat. A junior operator calls out, "Sir, incoming message, encoded Luftwaffe traffic, time-stamped 0420. Turing turns. "Intercept from where?" "Calais sector, sir. Looks like raid coordination." Rajewski's pencil freezes. "Tonight," he says softly. "They'll bomb London tonight." Hours pass as the machines grind through permutations. Each turn of the rotor means another possible setting of the German enigma, another chance to uncover the truth before the bombs fall. Sweat drips from the operators' faces despite the cold. Every moment wasted could cost hundreds of lives. Then, click. A light blinks green. Rajewski's head snaps up. "Stop the run!" The decrypted line prints slowly across the paper. Angriffs Befehl. Ziel, London Docklands. Abflugzeit 2200. Attack order. Target, London Docklands. Departure time, 2200 hours. Turing snatches the paper, reading it twice before bolting for the door. "Get this to fighter command, immediately." Minutes later, a motorcycle courier speeds out of Bletchley's gates, tyres spitting gravel. The message reaches RAF Uxbridge, where Air Vice Marshal Keith Park, commander of 11 Group, glances up from his operations map. "Interception vectors," he orders. "Scramble the Hurricanes over Biggin Hill, set the barrage balloons on the Thames, move the anti-aircraft batteries into position." By nightfall, London waits under a dark, restless sky. 2200 hours. The Battle of Britain continues. German bombers, Heinkel-Hay 111s, roar in formation over the Channel, their engines droning like a swarm of hornets. But this time, the defenders are ready. At 15,000 feet, squadrons of Hawker Hurricanes and Supermarine Spitfires climb into the moonlight. Spotlights pierce the clouds. The first bursts of flak erupt over the Thames. Down in a command bunker, Park studies the radar screen. "They're here," he says quietly. "And they don't know we're waiting." Thanks to the decoded Enigma intercept, British fighters intercept the bombers before they even reach London. Explosions streak across the sky. Burning aircraft tumble into the river. By midnight, the raid is broken apart. At Bletchley, the operators listen to the distant rumble of anti-aircraft fire echoing from the south. Rajewski closes his notebook. His hands shake from exhaustion, but he smiles faintly. "Numbers can stop bombs," he whispers. Turing looks up from his desk. "What's that?" Rajewski shakes his head. "Just something I never thought I'd live to see." In the months that follow, the cooperation between the Polish cryptographers and the British team deepens. The improved bombs decrypt Luftwaffe and Wehrmacht traffic at unprecedented speed. Each message brings a small victory, a convoy rerouted, a city spared, a raid anticipated. By early 1941, decrypted Enigma traffic, codenamed Ultra, begins flowing directly to Winston Churchill's desk. The Prime Minister calls the intelligence "my secret weapon." But inside Bletchley, few know the truth, that it all began in Warsaw, years before, with a young mathematician and his obsession with logic. Rajewski works in silence, rarely speaking of home. One night, as he studies a German naval key, he hears on the radio that Warsaw has been levelled, the resistance crushed. His hand tightens around his pencil until it snaps in two. Turing walks over quietly. "You should rest." Rajewski doesn't look up. "If I rest, people die." And so the machines keep turning, day and night, decoding the lifeblood of the Nazi war machine. By 1941, as the Luftwaffe's power wanes, a new enemy rises. The U-boat wolf packs in the Atlantic. They are sinking Allied convoys faster than shipyards can replace them. Their orders are sent by radio, encoded by Enigma. When the Royal Navy requests Bletchley's help, Rajewski volunteers at once. "The sea has its own code," he says, "but it obeys the same mathematics." Soon, his calculations will not only protect Britain's skies, but save her lifeline across the Atlantic. March 1941, Bletchley Park, Hut 8. The smell of ozone and hot metal fills the air. The latest bombs grind relentlessly, their wheels spinning like the ticking of an enormous clock. A chalkboard on the wall bears a single phrase in block letters. Convoy HX229. Last contact 12 hours ago. Marian Rejewski adjusts his spectacles and stares at the cipher sheets laid out before him. Each line of Enigma code represents the fate of hundreds of men crossing the Atlantic. Somewhere out there, in the freezing dark, merchant ships carrying food, fuel, and ammunition are being hunted by Karl Donitz's wolf packs. And Bletchley's mathematicians are their only shield. Across the room, Alan Turing paces, his voice low but urgent. The Germans have changed the naval Enigma again, a fourth rotor, more complexity. We need the crib, a predictable word pattern. Rejewski taps his pencil on the desk. They always send weather reports, yes? And always start with Wetter Vorhersage, forecast. Turing grins. Of course. Predictable Germans. Let's use it. Hours pass. The machines hum, relays clicking, paper tape streaming across the floor. Rejewski rubs his temples as fatigue sets in. We must find today's key before sunset, he murmurs. After that, the convoy will be gone. Suddenly, one of the young Wrens monitoring the machine gasps. Sir, stop! We have a repeat sequence. Rejewski rushes over. The indicator bulbs align in a familiar pattern. Is it? He checks the printout, heart racing. Yes, ja! We have it! He shouts across the room. Rotor positions 4 to 213, plugboard pairing Delta Zeta confirmed. The entire hut erupts in motion. Operators feed the decrypted strings into teleprinters. The German phrases spilling out like lifeblood. U-110. Position 53 du Dines. 33 Diesel. Rendezvous with U-552, convoy HX229 sighted. Turing grabs the sheet. Send it to the Admiralty now! That night, North Atlantic, near Greenland, the sea is a black void, broken only by the lights of HMS Walker and HMS Vanoc, destroyers escorting the battered convoy. Rain slashes across the decks. In the operations room, the captain studies a map. A fresh signal arrives, encrypted in British Typex code. He reads it aloud. From Admiralty, U-boat pack positioned north by northwest. Change course immediately to 260 degrees. Reinforcements inbound. The captain doesn't ask how they know. He just obeys. Hours later, the convoy slips through the dark, narrowly avoiding the jaws of 10 U-boats waiting in ambush. When the submarines surface, they find nothing, only the endless Atlantic, empty and silent. The secret that saved those men remains locked inside Hut 8. At Bletchley, Rejewski and Turing watch the dawn break through the fogged windows. The bombs finally fall silent. A Wren pours tea into chipped mugs. You've done it, she says softly. You've beaten them again. Rejewski shakes his head. We have delayed them, he replies. Tomorrow, they will change the key. We start again. But as he steps outside for a breath of cold morning air, he sees trucks leaving the park, loaded with decoded intercepts bound for the Admiralty. For the first time in months, he allows himself a smile. Every ship that sails safely home, he murmurs, is another answer to their cruelty. By mid-1943, the combined work of the Polish and British teams, now codenamed Ultra, has turned the tide of the Battle of the Atlantic. Convoy sinkings drop sharply, U-boat losses soar. German captains begin to whisper of an unseen enemy, one who knows their every move before they make it. In Berlin, Admiral Dönitz fumes over the reports. Our wolves are being hunted, he growls. How? We have changed our codes, our ciphers, everything. But it is too late. The mathematics conceived in a Warsaw classroom, carried across a burning continent, and reborn in the huts of Bletchley Park, has already broken the spine of the U-boat war. May 1945, London. The war is over. The codebreakers of Bletchley Park are sworn to secrecy. The world will never know their names, not yet. In a quiet corner of a London cafe, Marian Rejewski sips his tea. The city around him celebrates victory, but he sits apart, thoughtful. He reaches into his coat and removes a small slip of paper, a sketch of the original Bomber Kryptologiczna, drawn in his own hand. He smiles faintly. It was never a weapon, he says to himself, just a machine to see the truth. When asked later what part he played in the war, Rejewski simply replied, "I was a mathematician. I listened to numbers, and they told me a story that began in Warsaw, saved Britain from invasion, and ended the reign of the wolf packs at sea." He folds the paper, tucks it into his pocket, and disappears into the London fog, the forgotten engineer who built the machine that won the invisible war.